children in setting up Sure Start centres. Sure Start that brought together all the children, brought together the opportunities and the needs for parents and children. What an incredible idea. And what's happened under this Tory government and the coalition before them? Cut, 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 close so many all over the country. Surely we need a Labour government that believes in our children and invests in our children and gives them opportunities and hope for the future. That is one of many of the Labour offers in this election. Our proudest achievement, our proudest moment ever as a Labour Party was the establishment of our National Health Service. Free healthcare for all as a human right is something very, very dear to all of our hearts. They passed the Health and Social Care Act that has led to a lot of privatisation within the NHS. We have a funding crisis, we have an A&E crisis, we have the new concept of the corridor nurse. That is the nurse that cares for the patients that there's no ward bed available for. And then we have behind that 1 million people not getting the care they need, either elderly people who are very dependent and need social care, or those with special needs or disabilities. And then we have a government that is in denial about this. We have the NHS in a winter crisis from January through the summer to December every year. That is because they've cut the amount of money. That is because they're now putting forward their so-called sustainability and transformation plans, which will close many A&E departments around the country. John Ashworth, on our behalf, has announced day one of a Labour government, those plans stop. We reduce whenever we need it. But it's also about funding social care and about funding mental health. I take this very, very seriously. Very, very seriously, because we're a society that has to care for people, whatever their station, whatever their problems, whatever their needs. We believe in looking after all people. That is the very creed of the Labour Party and what we believe in. But we also believe very strongly that those that go through a mental health crisis in their lives, and a quarter of us here will at some point in our lives, deserve support, deserve help, don't deserve abuse and stigma. We can stop the abuse. But it's also about properly funding mental health services. Because if you've been through a crisis, go to your doctor, and the doctor acknowledges you have a problem and then says wait 6 months for any kind of therapy. That is not good enough. How many lives have been lost because the care was not there when it should have been? I take this very, very seriously. The responsibility of public office and the responsibility of government is to maintain the proper education system for all, the proper health service for all. But it's also surely to address the inequalities in our society. Why is it you go to every major city, go to Leeds, go to Manchester, go to Glasgow, go to Birmingham, you go across the city, the life expectancy falls the poorer the area and rises the richer the area. And it's the poor who live shorter lives and often live with greater pollution. It's the poor who get the least investment. It's the poorest regions of Britain that get the least investment. I want a Labour government that will judge its records and what it's done to reduce inequality, injustice and poverty in our society. That seems to me to be a good objective to set for any government. And so, I say two things. Firstly, we improve every worker's right at work, because it's after all people at work that produce the wealth that is not enjoyed equally across society. I was reading the Sunday Times rich list the other day and looking for listed Tory donors on the Sunday Times rich list. There's an interesting correlation there. I don't have to work out the details, but there is a link there. So we will guarantee rights to representation at work. We will guarantee a real living wage of £10 an hour. 6 million people. Contracts and don't know whether they'll get work from one day to the next. I'm sure some of you in this great crowd here today are in that situation. You know the stress. You wake up in the morning, you look at your mobile phone. Have I got work today? Are they going to call me in? Or they call you in and don't give you work, or you don't even get paid for the journey, or you wait and wait and wait. And then you wonder what you're going to do with your rent, how do you pay it, how do you survive? That degree of insecurity is simply inhuman and wrong. Absolutely inhuman and wrong. About investment for the future. We recognise the result of the European Union referendum. We recognise that result. We recognise things are going to change. But I tell you this, a Labour government negotiating with the European Union to guarantee trade access to the European Union without tariffs. So we don't start off by threatening to set up a tax haven on the shores of Europe. We want to achieve access to those markets. Than starting off by abusing people with whom you're going to have to do business in the future. And so it's a Labour government that will bring about the social justice we need within our society. It's a Labour government that will negotiate intelligently and sensibly and not threaten people. And it's a Labour government that will invest fairly and equally across the country. At the moment, there's a massive, massive imbalance between the government money that goes to transport infrastructure in London and the South East compared to that comes here, goes to the North East, goes to the North West, or even to parts of Scotland and Wales. So we, a Labour government, will establish a national investment bank to ensure there is fairness across the whole country in that investment, but there's also a preparedness to invest in manufacturing industry. It's simply not good enough. The mining industry was closed down by Thatcher in the 1980s. Some of those, thank you, very good. Important audience here, I can see that. Closed down, and many of those communities have suffered ever since. Lack of investment, poor facilities, poor quality jobs, and very little opportunities for young people. I want a Labour government with an investment strategy that deals with all parts of the country, that ensures we do get that investment and we do get those jobs. The Tory offer is what? The Tory offer is a continuation of inequality in our society, continuing to cut corporate levels of taxation, continuing to bask in the glories of the Sunday Times rich list, and tolerating what I think is frankly immoral, tolerating the idea that we just accept people sleep on the streets. We accept the idea of Food Bank Britain. We accept the idea that I want to lead a Labour government that thanks Ken Loach and all those that made that wonderful film. Cares for all. Listen, when a child is born, we all hope and want the very best for that child. We want them to be able to achieve everything they can. We want them to go to a school where they learn all the normal curriculum that we agree with and understand and is there, but we also want them to do sport. We also want them to learn music and art and creativity. Give all our children the best opportunities, we all lose out. Poverty is a terrible waste. A child denied the chance to achieve in school doesn't become the engineer, the doctor, the teacher, the nurse, whatever they want to be in the future, we're all the poorer for it. There's a philosophy that we don't pass by on the other side when somebody is in need. None of us here would pass by on the other side if we saw somebody in a bad state. But we have a government that gallops by on the other side. Gallops by on its way to a fox hunt. Because it doesn't care. I want to lead a Labour government that will invest in the needs and lives of all, that will invest in a sustainable economy, that will challenge air pollution, that will fund our public services properly, but above all, give hope and opportunity to people that are denied it by this general election will take place. We had the launch of our campaign this morning in Manchester, and I'm told it was the biggest ever attendance at the launch of any Labour election campaign ever. This is, I think I'm counting correctly, the 34th election event I've done since the election was held. I'll check my maths. I'm being challenged by somebody behind me. All right, we'll deal with that later. It's a lot. Why are we doing it? Because I want you to understand this. If we do nothing and allow somebody else to set the agenda, tell us the kind of world, society and lives we want to lead, they win. They walk into it. They win. You end up with a Tory government. You end up with more poverty. You end up with more debt. You end up with more underachievement in schools. You end up with more poor elderly people because they won't protect what's called the triple lock on pensions, and they will leave so many elderly people isolated and alone. Or you elect a Labour government with the absolute commitment and determination to provide the best for all, on the principle that whilst they might walk by on the other side, we won't, because we believe in the abilities, inspiration and ambition of everybody within our society. So I ask you this, in these 30 days we've got to go, let's get this fine gentleman elected as your MP. And make sure that everybody gets their chance to vote by registering. The vote was achieved with great sacrifice by many people over centuries. Something that was won for us to use to get justice for all. Democracy is a vehicle for social justice. The election is the opportunity to get that debate out there and win this election. So I ask you, are you up for this challenge?
Yeah!
Woo! Get out there and get Neil elected.
Yeah!
Vote Labour on June the 8th for a Labour government that will work for the many,
Not the few!